Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus said this to the disciples. About that day and hour no one knows, neither the angels of heaven nor the Son, but only the Father. For as the days of Noah were, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. For as in the days before the flood they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day Noah entered the ark. And they knew nothing until the flood came and swept them all away. So too will be the coming of the Son of Man. Then two will be in the field. One will be taken and one will be left. Keep awake, therefore, for you do not know on what day your Lord is coming. But understand this. If the owner of the house had known in what part of the night the thief was coming, he would have stayed awake and would not have let his house be broken into. Therefore, you must also be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
As long as everyone's okay. Well, this week we had a wonderful Thanksgiving Eve service, didn't we? It was good to hear Pastor Josh from First Baptist preach on 1 Thessalonians 5:16 through 18. It calls us to, quote, rejoice always, pray without ceasing, give thanks in all circumstances. And I was glad he made the point that that can be a really hard thing to do. Giving thanks and having hope for the future is not always an easy thing. This year, the Advent lectionary gives us the book of Isaiah and the Gospel of Matthew. They're traditional readings we're used to hearing in this season, but I still find them curious for the season. They're especially curious when we pair them with the ideas of hope and peace and love and joy. I don't think I have to explain too much to you about how hope, peace, love, and joy might be a bit of a challenge at this time in the world. We are living in a time when immigrants who came to the United States with hope are now finding themselves detained. Families split apart. They know we are living in a time of dashed hope. We're living in a time when humanitarian aid has been cut, and people who had been living with HIV treatment now have none. They know we are living in a time of dashed hope. We're living in a time when funding for heating the homes of the poor has been cut. And while SNAP has been restored, it has in many cases been reduced. Our local food bank is struggling, and winter has not come yet. Many of our neighbors here in Rock Springs and Green River are living with dashed hope. We tend to think that in our world life is good. is likely a lot easier now than it was in years past. But technology and all the bells and whistles and toys we have, none of them can ease our grief when those we love die. And even the love of our closest friends can't always fill the spaces left empty in our hearts. And when that space of loss in our hearts comes from grief or loneliness, it can be hard to find hope. Even when our minds intellectually know hopelessness won't last, if you can't feel the hope for yourself, it hurts. It's easy to be overwhelmed by the world. We know this too well. God also knows us. And our scriptures speak to us about a world that is utterly overwhelmed. The book of Isaiah was written over a period of 400 years. It comes to us from another time in history in which the world was changing. Isaiah comes to us from a time in which empires were at war with one another. I thought about that this week, how history unfolds, and it occurs to me that we know a little bit about the world that Isaiah saw. If we look at the last 100 years of our own history, we see 2 world wars, the nuclear bomb, the Korean War, which still has not officially ended, the Vietnam War, 2 wars in Iraq, 2 wars in Afghanistan, war in Ukraine, wars I didn't know about, war between Israel and Palestine multiple times, not to mention terrorism or regional wars that are raging in Asia and Africa and parts of Latin America. During the 400 years in which the book of Isaiah, as we know it, came to be, there were 7 major wars. Wars that changed who the global powers were. Wars that led to mass deportation and the exile of entire nations. So it occurs to me that the book of Isaiah may just be a great guide for us this Advent season. Isaiah knows something about the world we live in. Isaiah knows something about Advent, a season of waiting for God to come into human history again. A season that reminds us we are not left alone forever. We are not left without hope. Even when it seems there is no reason to hope. Even in a season when thankfulness or hope itself seems a little ridiculous. It was into just a world of hopelessness that Isaiah's prophetic message for the future came. And I kind of think that's the point of hope, isn't it? Hope is not for the good times of life. Hope is for the thorny times, the times you're not sure are ever going to end. And that's because hope doesn't come to us from the world. Hope doesn't come to us because of all the things we know and think about. Hope comes from God. And it's a feeling we have inside. And it's from a world of ancient war. Think about that. A world in which blood literally flowed in the streets, that we get the message Isaiah has to share. And the message the prophet gets from God is that all this strife, all this war that human beings come up with, all those things that make for hopelessness, cannot possibly last. Hopelessness will not have the last word in the world. Hopelessness will not ultimately win because God will call to God's people. And God will teach us a better way to live. In this prophecy, it is God who calls the people to the mountain and teaches the people. And I think the real miracle in this text is that the people learn. And they turn their tools of war into instruments that create food, that create flourishing in the world. Hope in the book of Isaiah starts with God, who calls the people. And the rest of the resolution that is such a nice image of all people coming together in one place in peace under God. That gathering of the nations in peace at Mount Zion comes when the people of the world respond to God's call. It's something we do, not God. And so there may be times in this season when we question why we put ourselves through the season of hope and peace and joy and love. But we hope not because the world gives us a reason to hope. We hope because we trust in God. We hope because we trust we are not really alone. We hope because somehow we know the resolution to the troubles of the world comes when we respond to God. When we find a way to respond to God in ways that bring peace and joy and love into the world, because then we are responding to the hope God has put within each one of us, and we are letting it loose into the world. So as we move into this season, I invite you to be alert. Be watchful for what God might be putting in your heart for you to do this season.